Hello, world. It is us.
Us.
Triple B Theater. Jason.
We have a name. Becca.
And we're going to be talking to you about reboots and remakes that we like.
Right.
And some that we feel are underrated.
Right. And maybe not necessarily
that's a long title.
Better than the originals, but that at least are as good as or bring something new to the table.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
From the original.
Super long title for this episode. I don't know how we're going to fit it on the
I'll put a different
title card.
We'll figure it out. All right. I'm going to start because this is my house. My house. So my first one is from 2010, and it is Piranha. A lot of people hate those movies. That one and 3DD. I think they're fun as shit.
I love them.
Yeah. Come on. We got severed penis in the water. We got...
It's Jerry O'Connell's penis, right?
Right. You got Elizabeth Shue. I mean, come on. It was fun.
Did Gulager direct that? Or did he do the
See,
second one?
I don't know, and my phone's right there. So.
I think it's the 3DD. So we'll find out together right now.
Yeah.
Not Gulager. Piranha 3, just
only
3DD.
Did the second. But still, that one's good too.
I love 3DD, but the first one was, wasn't that 3D as well?
It was 3D, yes.
Because that's where the whole penis floating in the water thing, and you
Piranha
can't go wrong with that.
3D, no, you can't. You just can't.
Do you like the original?
Oh yeah, I love the original too. So we were gonna watch that last weekend.
We didn't
not watch it. No, we didn't.
That was a fun one. Like it had. I mean, it had to be campy. It
was, and it was over the top, and they
silly.
went with it.
Bloody as hell.
Yeah.
I remember watching the original Piranha. Somehow I ended up watching it somewhere in my youth, and it scared me.
Yeah.
I was not a horror fan. I was the kid that was scared of everything. We've talked about this.
Yes.
But little known fact, also scared of Piranha.
What's your number 5?
Thank you. My number 5 is, and I don't know, some people might fight me on this, but it's My Bloody Valentine 3D. Everybody loves the original, as you should. Was pretty much one of the very first films that came out that were trying to do the 3D thing again. I actually thought My Bloody Valentine did some of the best 3D work. And it was kind of like the old school, the pickaxe right to the camera.
Yeah, very obvious things.
Yeah,
but
it had Jensen Ackles.
Jamie King,
Jamie King, and of course Jensen is now super famous for his Supernatural role, which is a good show. Todd Farmer also wrote it. I love this Todd Farmer from Jason X. Look at that face. I remember as a kid when Creature from the Black Lagoon, they had it 3D on the TV.
You used to have to go to 7-Eleven, get your 3D glasses. And
I watched, what did I tell you? Oh, Jaws 3? Jaws 3D?
Oh, yeah.
I watched that on the TV with my glasses. I couldn't tell you if it ever actually 3D worked at all.
Oh, yeah.
Because as a kid, it was just all frightening to me anyway, so I was just like, no. But
yeah. You just kind of walked away with a migraine, and you thought it was cool.
Yeah.
My number 4, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. I like it, Jessica Biel.
Mm-hmm. It's everything about it is good.
I love it. I think it has a good atmosphere. I like the sequel prequel to that as well. And I mean, I liked the characters. Yeah, I actually kind of cared about them.
It dives a lot more into the family chemistry
of
the Sawyer family, and I like that. I like that we get to see more of them and how they interact with one another.
Right, and then also the kids.
Right.
They were like much more three-dimensional than the original group of kids.
You can't go wrong with Arlie Ermy. He's always entertaining. The whole thing was good.
Yeah,
had a good creepy
vibe. I haven't seen that for a really long time. I need to watch that. Let's put that on my... Let's put it on our list.
We have such a long list of things to watch.
We just need to take a week off work and get a lot of Monster Energy drinks to watch all the movies we say.
I think so. I think that's fair. And so my number 4, which is a remake from a Vincent Price film, which is The Fly.
Yes.
Obviously, Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis.
Yes.
David Cronenberg film. Most of my picks that I have are mostly somewhere in the 80s and early 90s. And it's a lot of practical effects heavy stuff, because that's the stuff I really, really love. And The Fly is gross. It is a gross movie.
Disgusting.
And it's so good. Now, as a kid, again, nope. Would not watch it. I watched it when I was a teenager. I loved it. I think it's all well done. And Cronenberg, he's always going to do something that's pretty crazy and
gnarly.
Gnarly, yes. You can't go wrong with Goldblum, and that's of course when he and Gina Davis were together. If you go back and watch the original Vincent Price one, which we all like and enjoy and love,
Right.
and for the
But
time,
it's a different time
right,
period.
that was
I've
what,
got one
50s?
of those on my list.
The 86 just stepped it up
Yeah.
so much. I mean, of course, different audience, different time, all the effects. It was just so gross.
Yeah.
Part 2 with Eric Stoltz.
I don't remember that one at all.
It's not bad. It's
I
just
can-
not the first one. Like, and of course, you know, I like Eric Stoltz just fine, but he's not Jeff Goldblum.
Nope. He's
Who
not.
is really?
Yeah.
Jeff
Goldblum.
Yeah. That's about it.
All right. Well, my third is from 2013. It is Elijah Wood's Maniac. Love the original Maniac. Absolutely adore it. But Elijah Wood stepped it up about 10 notches
Oh, yeah.
with this one. He was what? He was like Lord of the Rings to most people, right?
Yeah, oh,
Is that right?
absolutely.
I mean, but now he has actually done a lot of work. He's got a production company that
Oh, yeah.
does mostly horror. I mean, he's kind of a big name now in horror, and this one was
Well, because
terrifying.
he's a huge fan of horror, anyways.
Yes. People who are in other genres, who are in comedy or in fantasy or goofy or whatever, I mean, they can like horror and they can do horror well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people can branch out. People can have multiple interests.
Absolutely. Like,
But
and
the-
he does it well, and that you can tell that he loves
Yes.
it, like it. When
Yes,
he's doing
but
it.
the POV in that was, it was terrifying.
A lot of good
into it.
gore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of good kills.
So Elijah Wood, like the first movie that really got him into horror was Tim Ritter's Truth or Dare. And he's just, I mean, he's that kind of fan. Like, that's underground horror. Maniac, honestly, is a relatively unknown film to a lot of people.
Right.
So when he brought it out, he did a good job.
Yeah.
And he still looks like he's, you know.
Like he's 12.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
I'm perfectly okay with that. I
Yes.
remember him in the Cranberries zombie
Oh.
video, The Good Son. Like, and I want to be him when I grow up.
I want to be Elijah Wood when I grow up.
My number 3 is, I think, a very underrated remake in its own, which is Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead, with, you know, Tony Todd and Patricia Tallman, and great cast, great effects, obviously. Obviously, they changed up some pieces from the original. I don't know, people didn't really talk about it. Like,
No. I mean, now, kind of.
it's good. It's really
Yeah,
good,
it is
and
good.
it's like
It was a good updating.
It was 1990. It was, you know, classic Savini special effects, and you know his team of people. I loved it. I think it's good. I think it's really good. I love obviously Tony Todd. I love the twist that they took. Like, you know, made it a little bit different and more. I guess it made a little bit more sense in 1990.
Right.
So I don't know why people don't talk about it.
We're talking about it right now.
It took me a long time to realize that Savini even directed it.
Oh,
When I
okay.
originally watched it, I had no idea. And he's great. Like, he's a very good director.
Number 2 is a Vincent Price, William Castle remake. So in the 90s, early 2000s, Dark Castle started coming up with all of these these updates of these William Castle movies that were completely different from the originals, like every single one of them. But House on Haunted Hill was the first one, and it is freaking fabulous. I
really
love that movie. You've got Famke Johnson. I can't ever say her name right.
I love her.
Jeffrey Rush. And they play the psycho couple.
Jeffrey
the
Combs.
house. Yes. The house is crazy. The beginning of it. And I think that's what hooked me.
Yeah.
The crazy patients. You know, the pencils in
Yeah.
the neck of the doctor.
There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. The banter between the two of them is so, like, it's so quick and it's so witty.
I love those movies that you have such a strong cast and you don't know who they are then. And then
Later.
you know, in the future,
Yeah.
these are like big stars. Like, I don't know what to
Even a
watch it.
cameo from Lisa Loeb.
Uh,
You say, stay. I watch it at least once a year. Just almost like, because in my mind it's so great, and then I'll hear somebody say something about, oh, it's cheesy, and I'll be like, no, it's still, I'm gonna make sure it still holds up, and every year it still holds up.
Number 2 is John Carpenter's The Thing, which is the kind of the holy grail of practical effects, kind of
Yes.
the end all be all, Rob Bottin effects, and it's so gross. The crazy thing
see it.
about The Thing,
Went to see it at a vintage theater
Oh,
a
nice.
couple months ago.
I have
The
a weird
Artcraft, Franklin, Indiana.
I
Very
have a
cool.
weird memory of the thing in like I was in math class in high school, and my teacher I guess he just didn't want to teach that day, and he put on the thing.
Really?
Weird. That is just
That is
a
bizarre.
weird thing to play. I loved it because it's such, you can't go wrong with Kurt Russell. Like, it's Kurt Russell, Keith David, like the entire cast is great, but the effects is where it's all at. I loved the original. I love the thing from outer space. Or
Yes, those like 50s sci-fi movies, they are so cheesy now.
Right.
But that one, like the characters, like the dialogue.
It's a lot
that
less cheese.
Yeah, the main guy and girl in that movie, they have like a good chemistry and good dialogue.
I was surprised when I watched the original.
Yeah,
and
it
liked
let
as
you
much as I
actually,
did.
you let you like actually pay attention to the story and not be like, oh my god, all these people shut up, just show me the monster, you know?
It's a good one. And then the Carpenter, again, like they all have, is just jumped it up like, 100. He went full 100, like, because it is hardcore.
It is very different. And the
Scary.
isolation in that movie
Yeah.
is just insane. And that's the only reason I brought up watching it in the theater, because I had never seen it in the theater. And like being in the theater and just having it like booming, like the sound of just like of nothingness, of just being.
Anytime you
in
isolate
Antarctica,
like that, it adds an element for sure.
Yeah.
I love it. I think everybody loves it. I don't think I've met a person that at least is into horror that's like, I don't like the thing. Now they might have the 2011.
Yeah, whatever. And it wasn't terrible, but it just didn't bring anything to the table
it was
for me.
basically the same movie. They just kind of used CGI and no Kurt Russell or Keith David or Wilford Brimley.
So we have some honorable mentions that we're going to give
Before we get to the number ones.
Before we get to our number ones.
My first one is We Are What We Are with Bill Sage.
We were talking about this movie, and I'm like, I think I've seen that movie. We figured out, I saw the Mexican one, he saw the American remake, and they were within like a year of each other.
Yeah, we're not far apart.
We're like, okay, we both know what we're talking about.
I think it popped up on like Netflix or something like that, and I watched it, and I thought it was really, really good. I call it the most effective zombie scene I've ever seen, although they're not zombies. And it's got a good creep factor. Bill Sage is great. The entire cast is good. I realized now that was Julia Garner from Ozark, who plays Ruth in Ozark, is actually one of the daughters. Kind of that final moment, it's like it just pays off to me. It paid off. I was like, this is really gross and creepy and very unsettling, and I like it.
So whereas all of his are in the 80s and early 90s, all of mine are in the 2000s, with the exception of House on Haunted Hill, and that was 99. So mine is The Ring. It's dated, both of this one and the Japanese original one. Obviously dated by the effects, and dated by just the content. Okay, just even the fact that it's like somebody calls your landline. I mean, you would have, if you showed this to like an 8-year-old, you would just have to be like, okay, before you even started the movie, you'd have to be like, okay, well, we used to.
Mommy, why is there a cord on that phone?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. All I knew is
it's a creepy
I
movie.
had an infant, I had a babysitter, and a horror movie was coming out, and I was gonna go see it. And I saw it, it was creepy, liked it, whatever. But in the middle of the night, I got up to go to the bathroom, and there's this mirror in my hallway that looks just like the mirror that the mom's brushing her hair, and it freaked me out. I had to run past it. And I was like, yeah, you see it now. He's looking at it right now. So it always has like a special place in my heart that it actually creeped me out.
Well, that whole video, like that.
The video thing.
Very Nine Inch Nails, just with a much more frightening factor. But that hot open where they find the girl in the closet and her face turns, and it's just. Nobody was prepared for that.
It's been parodied 6 Ways to Sunday.
Oh, right.
It's the thing, having seen it the day it came out, not knowing anything about it, that's
how I went into it as well.
If you watch it when Samara's coming out of the TV now, it's like, oh.
My other one is 1993. It's Body Snatchers, which I guess would be the third remake of
second remake, third iteration.
Yeah, a lot of people don't talk about it, but it has good practical effects again. Jennifer Tilly, right? Meg Tilly, rather. Forrest Whitaker, Arlie Ermy. I have such a soft spot for like the 80s, 90s practical effects stuff. I'm pretty sure it bombed. I don't think it did very well at all. And it's unfortunate because it's actually a good film. It's in my honorable mentions. It's not in like my top 5 or anything, but I do love it, and you should go watch it.
Okay, my honorable mention, my next one, is because I say it's a sequel. He says it's a sequel. people say it's a remake, so it's one of those.
The writer-director said it's a
says,
remake.
yeah,
I'm like, it's
The
not.
Evil Dead, from 2013, which I'm surprised that it was that long
Yeah,
ago.
it doesn't feel that
It's a
long.
great film, but to me, these kids are in this cabin where Ash and his friends were.
Yeah.
And
Same
it's
cabin,
so
different
a
time,
sequel.
different group of people.
Yeah, I think everything that happened in the Evil Dead movies, I think happened, and so that would make this a sequel, not a remake. But
Yeah,
whatever,
because she
I don't
even
care.
says
Whatever,
this
that's why
cabin
it's
has been
yeah.
in my family for years,
yeah. So I don't care.
generations.
I don't care either way. That's why it's an honorable
Yeah.
mentions because I'm.
Well, and I think really what
a little
sells it for me as it being more of a sequel is, even though that, end credit scene
Groovy.
is just Bruce Campbell saying groovy, he exists in this world.
Yes.
So if he exists and it's older Bruce Campbell, then that has to be, a sequel. To me, I think they made good choices. It has such a cult following that people love so much.
Uh-huh.
You have to be bold and different.
Yeah.
Don't
But-
make the same thing. Why?
But they added in a few things that were.
The whole tongue razor thing?
Oh my god, the box cutter, yeah, the eyeball. Then they added in like a better version of the tree rape. They did what they could, and it was iconic for the original. And it's like, okay, well, we're gonna do something for
We're
you
gonna
here.
keep this.
We're gonna keep it, but
And
we're
it
gonna
makes-
do it the way it should be.
It makes sense that
Yeah.
the woods there is going to continue to do what it does so many years later. So it's a sequel to me.
Yeah. But anyway, it's an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a good one. You want to do your number one?
I will do my number one. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, 2005. One of my favorite, not just reboot, remake, whatever. One of my favorite horror movies ever. I freaking love it. I watched it just like a week ago. I watch it kind of frequently.
Yeah.
I love everything about it.
Still good.
And as we were saying with Night of the Living Dead, it kept all of the elements that you would want, but it totally brought it up to date. They made the kid the first baddie. I think that was where I was like,
The stuff they did
Yeah.
with kids and babies in that one is stuff that you don't often do, and that's kind of roll into my number one as well. But
Zack Snyder, people got to get off his back, man.
Did a
Even
good
if you
job on
don't
this.
like what he does, I mean, you got to admit, he tries and he goes balls to the wall
Oh,
when
yeah.
he does something.
Absolutely.
Like I said, one of my favorite movies.
So pretty much everything on your list, I could have easily put on my list. We just tried to have a different
right.
list.
And we really just we compiled a list and then
Yeah.
we each picked. What's your number
My
one?
number one is a box office flop. So
Mm-hmm.
it did not do well at all. It was made, what was it, 1988. Shawnee Smith, Kevin
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dillon is The Blob.
Yep.
It's so good.
Just in the past couple of years as becoming a cult classic now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it is definitely starting to get I think the credit it deserves. The 50s, The Blob
Yeah.
kind of made history. It's hard to come into something like that. To me, obviously because of the time, it is a better movie. It's the gore is the effects
Oh,
are
yes.
so good. You were talking about the kid
Right.
in Dawn.
Right.
Like the kid that they're in the
Yeah.
sewer and then the blob gets him and he pulls him apart and then the kid is melting. Like they don't do things like
Yeah.
that. They still don't necessarily do things
Yeah.
like that. And
Every
when you-
once in a while.
Right, and so when
somebody
you
will
don't
get the balls
expect
to
it
do
and that happens, you're like, holy shit, this is crazy. I wish more people would get behind it and give it the love that it deserved.
And this is how sad it is. Now since then, you can get it. But I had to get a bootleg Blu-ray of it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't condone getting bootlegs usually, but it was just nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it's still kind of a hard
sad.
one to,
Yeah, it's
to
a hard
get a
one to
hold
get.
of. And I think it's probably weird that's my number one. I think a lot of people would be like, why is that your number one? But I just think it's really, really good. And it has like twists where you think this one guy's going to be the hero, but then it's like, because he's like the kind of the jock, but he's a pretty decent
Yeah.
dude for a minute.
Yeah.
And then twist, gone, not so much a nice guy. And here comes Kevin Dillon.
The lesser known Dylan.
And this was before Shawnee Smith was like big horror icon.
Right, right.
I don't know if this necessarily started her path,
know,
but
but-
it's definitely a good point where people,
Way
recognize
before
her. Oh yeah.
So let us know. if you hate our choices or if you have any. We haven't necessarily forgotten.
There's a lot.
We had more, but we had to narrow it down.
That's the thing, is like so many people like hate on remakes and reboots, but as we started making a list, there's so many good ones.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good ones. Not necessarily better than the original, but not bad either.
Right.
And some are better than the original.
They're the Crazies almost made my list on that one.
Yeah.
I think the reason why it didn't make my list is because I don't like the original one.
Yeah. Well, and it was that's your boy too.
Timothy Oliphant. So now I cheated. I threw in an honorable mention.
That's
sort
okay.
of. That's right.
That's
so
what
now
we're here
there's
for.
our top 10 is a 15. That's okay. And now speaking of, we are getting ready to go to lunch, and then we are going to watch Child's Play.
Yeah, that's kind of what started this whole conversation is
Right.
reboots. So we'll probably come back with a review.
You will
of
probably see our review of that before you see this video.
that, most likely.
Yes.
So
All right.
thanks for watching. Give us your
All right.
comments below. Let us know what you think and what are some of your favorite remakes and reboots.
All
We'll
right.
see you then.
See you guys.